Christoph, welcome to the Commerce Talks podcast. Today we are talking about food online again. It's the delivery market we are talking about. You are performance marketing director of the Takeaway Group. I think one of the biggest, if not the biggest, delivery group in this business. So please tell our listeners who you are and what exactly Takeaway is.
Thanks, Alex. Good to be here, and thanks for having me. Yes, I'm Christoph. I'm performance marketing director at Just Eat Takeaway. And as you said, we are one of the biggest players in the global online food delivery space. So in general, we have formed ourselves as part of a combination of a couple of groups that have started on very early in this food delivery space. So actually being the pioneers, you could say. One was here in the Netherlands, where I'm also based, here in Amsterdam, which was Jitse Groen, who founded takeaway.com here in this food delivery hub, which it still is. And on the other end, we are Just Eat, which came into the group a couple of years ago now, which was founded also in the years 2000 in Denmark. Also very early on, if you see that. Only in the past, let's say 8 to 10 years, the food delivery space has really evolved and flourished. And then the last one, which was another acquisition that happened in the last 1.5 years, was Grubhub in the US, which was also founded in 2004 already. So as you can see, 3 business models that were started up very early. And basically shaped this space very early on.
And that actually explains the many domains you are owning. If you're looking at the Wikipedia's page from Just Eat Takeaway, you see in Austria it's Lieferando. It was Lieferservice AT. In Brazil, it's iFood. In Bulgaria, it's Takeaway. In Germany, it was Lieferando. No, it was Pizza.de, Foodora, Lieferheld. Now it's Lieferando. So that makes it a bit harder, like for the analysts like me, to follow this market because there's so many names now flying around. Yeah. And we heard it also with Mickey in the podcast with Walt. So it's very hard actually to differentiate. So what is what? If we are going back a couple of years, the belief in the market was that it is a winner takes it all market. That's how it was sold actually to the market, and that's how we saw it. I think after the settlement in Germany, where Lieferando was one of the winners, it was actually a settled market, we believed. And now it feels everything is starting over again. It is not a winner takes it all market, and you can look at this and analyze it from a performance marketing perspective. You probably see like waves in marketing spendings on the different channels. So, what's your perspective on this winner takes it all theory in this market?
Yeah, it's of course still a relevant one. It will not go away. So the general theme is that we are a marketplace predominantly, and we are a business model that thrives on strong cohorts. So we acquire customers and we keep them. So we make them sticky. They order and reorder over years, and this behavior that we shape with these customers is what allows us to become profitable in a very, very competitive market. So we are not able to pay back a customer for ourselves with the investment we are making in a couple of weeks. So it needs a couple of months in order to get there. And we need also strong cohorts that have developed over years that can allow for this competitive approach in the market. And we have actually been quite good, as you referred to in Germany, to build a case around acquiring customers at a rate, knowing that we would be able to pay back when we can win the market. So that's also what happened. It was a very, very strong battle with Delivery Hero in the years already starting from 2009, 2010, when Lieferando was founded by Jörg, who's still on the board here at justeattakeaway.com. And these investment rates that we have seen back then, they are sometimes hard to grasp, and this has changed until now. So we have become a lot more profitable, a lot more sensible from most sides, you could say, since everybody in the industry understands that this fight to win shift also into a direction of not only land grabbing and buying customers and market share on the short term, but it's, buying and building cohorts that are lasting and sustainable in the long run. So that for a marketplace that is really obvious with other players now coming in the grocery space. This has gotten to a new dynamic, but at a different scale. The dynamic here is, well, they really need to build a smaller area, so hyper targeted, and be strong in building their customer base in a part of a city where they do fierce investments still, sponsorships, still reaching national level, as you could see, Gorillas supporting Bundesliga, sponsoring PSG, very, very big deals. But still there on their side, it's still much about the profitability they need to create in the operational efficiency, in the operational excellence that they have to build. So it's not a market with this model where you can say, okay, you push each other out, right? It's not that one or the other is gonna hand over all of the sudden. There will be consolidation, but not that kind of consolidation that has happened between the marketplaces back in the beginning of the 10 years.
And can you elaborate a little bit the business model? So you said marketplaces. Marketplaces comes with different sides. So obviously you are the marketplace operator from a takeaway perspective, but then we have the customers that are eventually like selecting restaurants. So how does it work? Like from a restaurant perspective, from a restaurant owner perspective, from a customer perspective, and does it differ from market to market? So is it the same model in Germany compared to Italy, for example, or in Spain, or is it like a different model there?
No, in general, we are a marketplace model, and we also do have a delivery model, and that is the case in all our markets. So we now are active in more than 20 markets across the globe, reaching from, you could say, Alaska to New Zealand, and in all of those markets, we only run a marketplace where restaurants deliver themselves, but we also offer a delivery model to those restaurants that has grown very much in the past, let's say, 4 years. We've expanded greatly in the space, and the share of orders also has grown in that space, since we also see that there's a different let's call it a development stage coming in with also the other players that have helped develop this market, and predominantly focusing on the delivery part, lesser on the marketplace.
Okay, let's go back to the options, like from a restaurant owner. Let's say I own like a small Italian restaurant in my mid-sized town. So then I have different options. So I could say people can just call me and pick stuff up. So instead of like reserving a table and eat in the restaurant, they can just order via telephone, which is like for small Italian restaurants still the main case from what I understood. Then sometimes these restaurants have kind of a delivery service. Only a very few of them have, because it doesn't make sense for smaller restaurants because they don't have like the frequency they would need in order to scale this delivery service. When they do have this delivery service, they are rather focusing on delivery, so not so much on in-house consumption. And they usually before the start of companies like Lieferando, for example, or Pizza.de, they try to acquire the customer directly. And now you are coming in to this restaurant and say, okay, please use takeaway, or please use Lieferando in Germany because we are giving you more customers, a better operation model, the software, the marketing power? So what is it? What would the restaurant owner like me convince? What would convince me eventually to join my operations, or to combine my operations with Lieferando?
In the end, I believe it's as we're a two-sided marketplace, which you said very well. The convenience part that needs to sell it, right? So it's the convenience part on the consumer side, and it's also the convenience part on the restaurant side. It's not having to worry about anything on the delivery side, meaning that they can leave it to a partner to bring in this incremental revenue, which it is. So we know for a fact that we help restaurants grow their revenue substantially once they become part of the platform, and then do that in a way that is without much hassle. That is the general offer that we can make, because of course there's still a strong habit of calling via telephone, but it's still a lot harder to manage that. And if partners or restaurants would not have seen this benefit in the past years, we would not have been able to acquire more than 600,000 restaurants across the globe. So there must be a strong case.
How many restaurants would usually participate in a mid-sized town? I use Kiel as an example.
Is yours.
Usually like 250,000 people living in Kiel, more or less. I don't know how many restaurants are located in Kiel, but like in such a city. So what is like the share of restaurants participating on a platform like Lieferando? 5%, 10%, 30%?
That's a hard question. I think it depends a lot on the city, because if you see, I now live in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is not a very big city. It's roughly 900,000 people, but still the amount of types of restaurants that are available here, given also to the structure, lots of tourists, etc. So a very thriving HoReCa environment here. And we see a lot more restaurants, a lot more inventory here than compared to a million-sized city in Germany, right? So also even in a town of 250,000 in Germany would show a very different penetration on our website or on our app than a mid-sized town in the UK or in the Netherlands, just due to the maturity of the market. Also to the habit of eating out and how many restaurants there are. So it's very hard to say that, there's a general percentage of restaurants that you can acquire. We try to acquire every possible restaurant to bring it on the platform. We believe that, it's about the selection for the customer that needs to be as big as possible. So we try to bring on everyone that we can. So we don't have like a rule of thumb to say, okay, it needs to be those 5% or 10% of the total restaurant space that we have in the city.
And when a restaurant is joining this platform, there is like two options when it comes to delivery. The restaurant can say, okay, I have my own delivery fleet, so I can use them, or you would offer delivery capacities to this restaurant and therefore get a higher take rate, for example. Is this correct?
Yeah, exactly. So we offer the delivery service part. And that means that this has to be managed. There's cost attached, the cost that also the restaurant would have to a similar extent if they would be hiring their own drivers, and that's then part of our remuneration model.
Okay, and that brings me like to the next question. So when we are talking to you can take like every industry, every business model, there's this war for talents. And especially with this new super fast delivery services boom last year with Flink and Gorillas, there you heard stuff like people were paid like cash or hand money, though they would change their employer. Don't drive for Flink, drive for Gorillas, for example. There seems to be a shortage of like service personnel, I would say. People that are doing the delivery, people that are like, I don't know, washing the dishes, even like in the restaurants, which I know here in my environment. sometimes they have a hard time to operate normal hours, and they choose to close like for lunchtime, for example, because they just don't have the personnel anymore. And even some smaller cafes in prime locations, really prime locations, always booked out. They cannot operate on, I don't know, Tuesday and Thursday because they don't have the staff anymore. Is this something you also see in your industry, or is it still possible to hire delivery drivers for a reasonable price?
It's definitely still possible. It very much depends on your scale in your brand, and the operations that you have in the background. So we also do see that we kind of have a pre-COVID, COVID, and post-COVID labor market situation. Since COVID, it seems like we're still in, also with just like with the supply chains, still in a bullwhip situation where things haven't normalized yet, and somehow people have found new areas to work in, and posing huge challenges for restaurants. So even I have this example of a Burger King, which is really downtown Amsterdam here. And that was still closed a couple of weeks ago, with the notice that there's no staff available. So we have you have the general parcel delivery players, you have grocery delivery players, you have super fast delivery players, you have food delivery players, and they're basically all fishing in the same pond. So they're looking for a similar target audience to work for them, which is good for that audience, right? They have lots of choices now because everybody seeks them, we do see that there are players in this market that are willing and able to pay really high. We call them sign-on bonuses, so hand money, but sign-on bonuses, and that is in certain cities with a certain pressure that is needed in order to be able to compete. And that makes it challenging for the Italian restaurant you're referring to compete then against a company that has just received a check of $1 billion from Tiger Global without even asking for the balance sheet. So it creates an imbalance in the market with so much cash available that they don't care. It's just about the growth, and that also trickles down in what they're able or willing to pay for hires, which are, you could say, the blood of the business model, because you need them in the operations. Otherwise, if there's nobody to deliver, there is no revenue.
Yeah, you talked about like pre-COVID and post-COVID conditions. So pre-COVID, it was already tough. So even 2019, it was not so easy. Then during COVID or during Corona peaks, I understand that many restaurants had like problems, many hotel business had problems, and therefore those people decided to go into other jobs. Even people working at airports or so, which makes ramping up airport operations now so difficult. Like chose to go in a different job area. And some of them have chosen the delivery model. So during COVID, during this kind of peak time when people stayed at home and ordered even more out of home food, were you able to ramp up the operations in a way how I described it? So was it easy to get like the hotel employees into your business, and do they stay now when hotels are opening up and delivery business is going back to normal, or back to normal growth rates, I would say?
We don't have this great resignation that everyone is talking about now. We don't see that. And during the period of ramp up, we were in the, let's call it beneficial situation that we have a strong marketplace model, which does not require that manual support, that manual workforce to the same extent. But we were also expanding on that side massively. So in that time, we were also making changes in how we are setting up our employment model in certain markets that were acquired. So we did a massive ramp up in terms of bringing people onto contracts in markets like Italy, for example. And that was a huge challenge to do that in a fairly short amount of time, but it was still possible. So on the one hand, we use our performance marketing channels for lead creation. So that's something that I'm responsible for with my team, and I do that for most of the markets that we operate in. So we use search, we use affiliate marketing in order to create those leads, and then we have an operations team that is the machine that then turns those leads into candidates and brings them to their first shift on the street to deliver our food. But that needs a well-oiled machine to deliver that, and we ramped up massively. So in terms of the growth that we went through during those times, it was a couple of 100% that we had to push through in only 3-4 months. I would say probably a year ago that was pretty much the peak of that trend.
Okay, got it. So can you confirm that that the performance marketing prices also went up during Corona? Because that is what we are hearing in so many podcasts. So Tarek said it about in the About You podcast. So there was less opportunity in out of home media, trade show media, even the standard newspaper bookings went down. So more money was funneled into the digital channels, meaning the customer acquisition costs kind of went crazy for lots of business models. And you already said, so even before Corona, it was a tight business model. It was not profitable with like the first purchase. You were calculating on a customer lifetime value model where you needed, 5, 10, 15 orders on the app to get your money back, or to get like a return on invest on the initial marketing investment. So how do you see this development?
To be honest, there was a mix. So the first wave, 2 years ago, it sounds weird, but it was already 2 years ago, right? We saw this massive peak in terms of generic keywords that are related to delivery in all languages across all markets. So what we had to be really careful in our bidding around those keywords to find out, what are now the relevant ones that are really intending to order food. That was a challenge there, and we did see a spike in cost for a very, very short time, which we then managed. Over time, this has developed well. So the demand was still very high, and so we could flourish. And given our the position that we have built already up until then in these platforms, the likes of Google, etc., has also helped, because if you have continuous strong investment beforehand, then it also hits you at a different rate, you could say, when other players are suddenly bidding up. And of course, we had to manage that, but I could not say that it has harmed us in the mid run.
Going back to the question of like performance marketing levels, in other podcasts with Tarek from About You and many other companies in all different industries, we saw like a spike in performance marketing costs or click costs, because many companies shifted their out-of-home media budget into the digital channels: LinkedIn, Google, Facebook, Amazon, and this led to a situation where many models that were on a profitable path before had to say, no, sorry, I have to stop spending marketing money on those auction channels because I cannot afford the customer anymore. And you already said that this kind of phenomena you had in your industry, obviously like before the consolidation in the industry, but even now you're running a customer lifetime value model where you're spending in a way that only after 5, 10, 15 purchases on your app, the customer becomes profitable for your business. So how do you see it, or what have you seen during Corona when it comes to performance marketing costs?
Well, we did not see it to the same extent, I must say. So, but that also is related to a strong position in those channels that we continuously had over years. So you build a position, you build a top position, and it takes some time for competitors in the auction to bid up to an extent that they reach levels where you were outbid in your where your CPOs in the end or CPAs reach a level that is not affordable anymore. So I think affordable sounds really harsh, but it also indicates that if businesses have these or had these challenges in these times, that they're very much relying on these channels. For us, it's a really strong mix of direct channels that are mainly built by TV, out of home, big reach media, building top of mind awareness, which reduces the liability on dependability on those click channels. Let's call them auction-based channels. So we did see certain times where this peaked and we had to manage against it, but it was never to a level where we would say, okay, we have to drop out, or we've seen much worse in terms of competition in battles that we had in certain markets some years ago. So nothing that we couldn't manage. From a TV and out of home space, that was I believe a bit more challenging in terms of cost increase that was suddenly there. But also here we've run strategies for years, and these strategies, they also mean that we can book ahead, media ahead of time, and that gives you a certain also strength within the market, which means that you're not pushed out by a sudden other player coming in.
So one way to compensate for this higher costs on the customer acquisition sites is called retail media. That's what we see with other platforms. They are selling media space on their platforms. Obviously, this would mean in your case, you would sell me as the Italian restaurant owner. You would say, Alex, you have a good assortment. You have some customers that order with your Italian restaurants. But, we have a new opportunity here for you. Let's say that's the Monday pizza opportunity. We have like a main banner on the pizza category, which you can buy, and we would promote you, leading to even more customers for your business, and you would charge me, obviously. This is retail media. This is actually how the Amazon ad ecosystem was created. Is this something which you offer, which you plan to offer?
Yes, we do see that there's a trend into this direction for everyone. Everybody who sees the 30 billion figure that Amazon is making out of this business gets interested, let's say. And we also have opportunities for restaurants to promote themselves. And I think it's a great opportunity for restaurants when coming to the platform early to promote themselves and really see the impact that the platform can make. The benefit here is also that they can choose themselves, right? So they can choose to invest. They can steer the investment. They can control the investment. So we are able to offer a top placement, meaning how you rank in the search results for your area. We will always only show restaurants that are relevant, right? So if somebody searches for a restaurant that is outside of the relevant delivery area, we will not prioritize this restaurant. So it always needs to be relevant for the consumer. But if that's the case, then we offer placements that are, prioritized based on let's call it a bid mechanism. And that is planned also to be, expanded to an extent where it's beneficial for the restaurant.
And is this, and do you have experience with those, how is it called, dark restaurants that don't have even like a storefront anymore, but only work for like delivery platforms like yours? Where my understanding was that could be a smart initiative by the platforms themselves, because they definitely get a little bit more independent from the restaurant owners, and they could invest in an area, in an assortment, or in like a food niche which is not available in a city. Maybe in Kiel there's not so many good Asian restaurants. Mm-hmm. It's not true, but there's no Indian restaurant, for example. That's a niche you could fill via a platform with like a dark kitchen. Is it called dark kitchen, dark store
Dark kitchen,
model? Yeah, dark kitchen model. Have you experience with that?
No, to be honest, I don't, because as a business, we are not we have a strategy not to allow those actually, since we believe that there needs to be a certain quality and certain trust to restaurants. So it's also for me, as a customer, I would find it weird to see a restaurant and it looks like a really poppy, interesting Vietnamese place. And then you get the food delivered, but it's coming from, you don't know where it's coming from, so you cannot relate to it.
No Google Maps entry.
No, nothing, right? So there's the trust level of the consumer has to be really high. And on the other end, it's also there's a high responsibility then on the platform side to manage that quality, which is something that can also be an operational challenge. And in certain markets, that is something where we need to take a very close look. For example, in the UK, where everything around health and safety is regarded very, very highly. These things become even more at play. But yeah, I do know that competitors play that strategy, and some better than others. But for ourselves, we have not, and we don't see a strong, we don't see any negative impact on our performance due to that yet.
What are the economies of scale in your business? So you are now very successful in many countries. Let's say you want to expand in a country where there's no operations yet. I don't know. Let's take Turkey. I don't know if there's like a Turkish operation yet. Are there economies of scale? Is there something beyond the platform, the technology that helps you scale in a new market, or are you dependent on acquiring a local platform that already has some success with customers?
It's always we're always a combination of a good platform, of a market that is ready for either a new or another player, and then also a brand. We do have brands that are they're reaching across many markets, also with the sponsorship of the UEFA Championship and the Euros last year. I think many people around, at least Europe, have seen, and the world have seen our brands appearing, which obviously helps, right? So I think that mix is helping. To have a good product and to have a strong brand helps you enter the market. But we talked about these cohorts. So if we decided now to go into Turkey, in Turkey there's a market leading player for years. We would have to go up against this player to take share and build cohorts at a massive investment rate, which we see that. Let's use the German example. So a competitor tried to re-enter the market with a brand that they have used in other markets before. When was it? Last summer?
Yes, I think, yeah.
Foodpanda came into Germany again last summer, and it was a very bold experiment, I must say, given also the way that the market is structured, to try again, not only on the food delivery but then also on the grocery side, both at the same time. And it was very quickly visible that it was not sustainable, that they could not reach enough scale quickly enough with the investment that was planned in order to make it work in the long run. And that's what I would assume in established markets. You use Turkey, for example. It would be very, very hard for us to now build up something from scratch. That's not what we have seen working also in the markets where we are strong.
And okay, that's super interesting. And yes, I think many people that are listening here follow this kind of experiment, which has ended already. When it comes to your platform USPs, I would guess that a big part of the team is working on the tech side, really working on the platform. Revenue is roughly between like 4 to 5 million euros from Takeaway, if I see the numbers correctly. 2021, I think it was 4.5 billion euros.
It's 28 billion in GTV, yeah. So that's what's running across the platform.
That's running across, but the inside revenue, like the premium revenue, is
5 billion.
It's 5 billion,
yeah.
Roughly. Okay, let's focus on this revenue, not on the GMV. And there's roughly 5,000 people working in the company. Is this correct, or is it far away from
I think it's more now by now. I must say it's hard to keep track how we are growing, but it's higher than that.
That's more or less the direction. So, and like from an outside in perspective, I would say, okay, most likely 50% of those people are working on the platform experience. I don't know, connecting new restaurants, building new features, managing all the apps in the different markets, mean that, like, if you look only on the inside revenue, not the GMV, that is like roughly 2 to 5 million per IT FTE. So because let's say everybody who's working on the web experience is IT, let's say. Yeah. So, but now taking the inside out perspective. So how many people are really working on the platform?
It depends on how you structure it. So in terms of tech and product, it's a large number. It's I believe it's more than 1,500 people that actually work on the product. But we're coming from a situation where we have acquired Grubhub, which has a product and tech team. We have acquired Just Eat, that has a product and tech team. We have the legacy Takeaway side that has a product and tech team. So all of those are being integrated and now in order to then work on a joint product.
I'm doing this like experiment always, like to explain how complex such a business is. It's really a tech business, because if you divide if you take the revenue 4.5 billion divided by tech and product people 1,500, then you end up with like 3 million per product tech FTE. And this is usually, though, this is kind of I did an experiment like with retail businesses, and then this ended up between 2 to 4 million. So every business that started with this kind of tech proposition, which you are still in, like this kind of platform proposition, kind of have this number. So, and this also shows other potential competitors, or let's say there's a big restaurant chain, McDonald's wants to do it, or Burger King wants to build something on their own. If you want to build like a 1 billion inside revenue business, mainly driven by an online platform, you would need like 500 to 500 people, maybe even more in the beginning, to build the basic infrastructure. And that is kind of a misunderstanding in the market. Those companies say, okay, we will hire like 50 people in a tech team, and we will build like the next gen fast food delivery platform. Or now it's sustainable organic fast food, but it's still fast food. So, and this is a misunderstanding, a misconception in the market, which only can be solved by sharing those numbers. It's still a tech play. It's not like it's not a play decided by the amount of salespeople on the street convincing Alex, the Italian restaurant owner, to come on the platform. It's really creating a better customer experience, creating an easier connection to the restaurant system, or to the onboarding process must be really lean. And this is all technology. It's not sales. It's not marketing. It's not performance marketing. It's still a tech play. Would you agree?
I think that is very much true in the perfect world, that that you can solve everything with tech. But the reality shows, especially in models where you do need to ramp up really quickly, that there's lots of solutions still where hands are needed, and especially also in an environment where it's still very much about personal connection, and people getting convinced not by machines or, SEO presence, but they want to see a face. They want to know who they talk to. So they don't want only this, let's call this gigantic tech monster in the back that they work with and that they become an invisible part of. They also very much appreciate the personal relationship. So we do have a strong sales force, and we do have strong account management. So what we also try is, to support the restaurant, go to the restaurant, show how they can become better in running their own business, helping them in their own procurement, helping them in professionalizing and growing with us. So as a partner, that is very hard to only do via tech mechanisms. In the best case, everything that is just noise or is just administration, you should of course solve with tech. When it comes to the partner relationship. So as much as possible, self-service, control for those guys, which is tech. But in the end, it still helps to have a face that you can talk to and know who to call, and that comes along every once in a while. I think that still also is part of a proposition which makes restaurants decide to come on board and to stay on board. I think it's still a strong retention mechanism.
But do you see still restaurants that say, okay, I don't want to give you the whatever take rate you are taking in the different markets, 5%, 10%, 15%. I want to do it on my own. I will convince my customers, because they are eating my pizza. It's my customers, to order on my self-built website, whatever they are building, something they're trying to redirect the customers. Do you still see this kind of behavior? I saw this in the beginning a lot when like Pizza.de was still a thing. So I saw like vouchers from those pizza restaurants trying to convince me not using Pizza.de but using their own pizza website. Which would explain a certain churn rate. Do you see this behavior still, or is it kind of an anecdotal evidence only?
I think that it still exists for sure, and we also understand that restaurants try to acquire customers themselves still, right? So I think there's this feeling of dependence is never good, right? So they also want to keep this level of independence also on the delivery side, which is fine. So I assume this behavior from the restaurant side will always persist. It's nothing that will die out.
Okay, but is this the main reason for churn? So is this like restaurants say, now I have built my own website, I don't want to participate in this platform anymore, or are even restaurants opting out completely out of this delivery business because now after COVID, customers are coming back into restaurants and they say, okay, I have less personnel, less people in the kitchen, less people that can serve the table, so I cannot serve the delivery part anymore. I want to focus on the customers in the restaurant. Is this happening now?
To be very honest, there was, of course, and now coming back to that first wave 2 years ago, we did have a massive influx of restaurants that were, fearing that they would not have any business anymore, so they would try to get on every platform. And we onboarded those restaurants, and then there's always, when you have this large influx, a quality distribution where you then see that a certain share will not be able to get orders, manage the orders well, etc. So at some point they then dropped out again. So, but that was, let's call it the healthy share that was never set up or was also not intending on a continuous basis to run that business with us, to be part of the platform. But still, over time, we are only growing in restaurant number. It's not that we are decreasing. There's a natural churn now happening, but we don't see any accelerated effect.
Do you see in general a trend in the market? Maybe let's take the Netherlands or Amsterdam as a particular example. that there's more restaurants are opened, so less retail stores, what we see like in high street. So you don't need 10 H&M stores next to each other, where the city managers would say, okay, this will become like gastro areas. So where new restaurants, whatever, experience parks will be created. Do you see this? So is there like a net new restaurant positive quote in the markets?
I think I don't think that we are there yet. In the for Amsterdam, for example, we as you said, there's challenges with getting people hired that can work in the kitchen, that can do service. So we also have these closure challenges. So a net increase in restaurant and HoReCa space, I don't think that's the case. I don't have the number for you now, but I don't think that's the case just by walking outside. I see that there's turnaround in terms of ownership of the base that is there. It's not like everything's closed now. Turnaround in ownership is happening. But further expansion, I don't see yet. But as I said in the beginning of our chat, it's also that in Amsterdam we have, I think, restaurant per capita is over-indexing versus a comparable city in Germany or other markets. So it is already at a very high rate. So if you go downtown Amsterdam, you'll find a restaurant that does delivery everywhere.
Okay, but that's because of the high tourism rate in the lifestyle in Amsterdam.
It's we always look at penetration. So for us, the market penetration gives an indication of maturity, and the penetration rate in the Netherlands is for us the highest, where it's even trending towards 50%, where in many other large markets, still in the UK and Germany, we're very far away from that. So it's just also I know from grocery players that the amount of orders they get from a store in the Netherlands is just over proportionally higher than what they see even in Berlin downtown.
Okay, so let me sum up. What I've learned. So you're running a platform model which is working fairly good. It's not a winner takes it all market, but it becomes more and more expensive, like for new entrants to crack exactly in the market space where you are in. Maybe we see new competition from other sides, but it's like just replicating the platform play you are doing with a similar platform doesn't make sense. There's like very strong lock-in effects for restaurants. So the better you are getting, the more convenient it's getting for the restaurant, the higher are the costs to do something on their own. There are obviously negative trends, so not as much delivery drivers as needed, not as much service personnel, kitchen personnel for the restaurants, obviously. But this will only lead to a situation where the very good managed restaurants and platform will have a better game. So there's like a squeeze out of badly managed chains. I would say, and there's still tremendous growth potential. I don't know how many restaurants we have like worldwide or in all the markets where you're operating. You're operating now with 600,000 restaurants. I guess there's like just alone in the markets you're operating another 6 million you can get or so.
Probably,
yes, or maybe even more, which is really cool. And you confirmed that there was not a single spike in customer acquisition cost digital. So there were like different spikes depending on time and market momentum, which is kind of normalizing now. Again, very entertaining. Thank you for your time, Christoph. And now I will install like the app here, and let's see if in my very small town I'm living in, if there's any offerings from Liefländer. Thank you.
I'm pretty sure there is.